All right, so welcome everyone to release 4, final release of the 2024 year for Avocado. Thanks for joining us on this last week before I think a lot of people are off on holidays. So we appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come see what we have coming up for you. So as per usual, we are recording this meet. We will make the video available to you after the presentation, as well as you'll also receive the slide deck for this one. So something we're looking at doing going forward so that you have this as well in addition to our normal release notes. And as per usual, if you have questions at any point, feel free to raise your hand. It's the little hand icon at the bottom of your screen, or shout them out in the chat, and we'll either answer them as we go or we'll save them for the end. Because we are going to have a Q&A feedback option at the end. If there's anything you need to chat about, happy to take those questions, comments, and hopefully not criticisms, but compliments. All right, so today on our agenda, we're going to start with our portal changes. There's quite a few of them. We're going to get into our new credit application tool, some manual reconciliation changes, some third-party reconciliation changes. We have quite a few makeup class enhancements, as well as some additional features, and then just wrap up with some bug fixes. So as always, just to review our timeline, we're having our release presentation today. So following this, hopefully you're going to review the release notes and the features, see what your team would like to use, request that deployment to your sandbox, get that in sandbox, start testing, make sure it works for your business needs and your specific ways of operating. Test out those new features. Let us know if there's anything that you think could use improvement, if there's anything you really love or anything where you're like, now that I have this, this would also be fantastic. We welcome that sort of feedback. And then when you're ready, reach out to your account manager and we can get this into your production environment. All right, so we're going to start with the program filter update. But before I get too far into this, I just want to give a shout out to Asim and the NAB team for kind of leading the charge on these updates, as well as all the organizations that we met with that kind of gave us feedback for how we wanted to go forward with this. There are quite a few changes that you will see with this release that are really meant to optimize the mobile experience and make things easier to find for your end customers or members. So the first one we have is we've updated the filters in the Avocado programs page. So instead of the filter on the sidebar that you used to see, they'll now be laid out across the top. So same filters, just kind of laid out differently. You have the search bar front and center at the top, as well as the location dropdown. Underneath that, you do have the option to filter by program, account, or categories. Again, these are language files, so totally customizable to your org and how you would like them to read. And as well, you have a bit of an audit trail for your filters now. So you can see any filters that have been applied will show up across the bottom. So as you start getting into deep linking, you're sending someone to category level 3, you can see all those kind of laid out, as well as reset them there if need be, which just makes for a way cleaner experience on the mobile view. So really, you'll see for all these screenshots that you have a mobile view as well as the desktop view, because we understand not everyone's in front of a computer. More and more people are using their phones. So this is what we're trying to work towards optimizing for you. So again, searching for programs is going to be where you see this the most. It's built on that existing filter logic. You do have the option if you don't want the trail because you want to save a little space to remove that. You will see a number beside the program. If you had 3 program filters selected, you will see that listed beside it. So you do know you have those filters applied. The only thing we ask for this is that you set your default location. This will be a requirement for production for your calendar view. So this is for anyone who does not currently have a home location. Vaba?
Rachel, the default location at a contact level or at the account level?
So it's at the account level. So
Okay.
Primary contact sets it. So what you'll have is you'll have your home location set for your account on your primary contact. This is mostly for if I don't have that home location or my home location doesn't belong to the division I'm looking at. So maybe my home location is an HFA membership, but I'm looking at a childcare division. this is what it will default to instead. So we just ask that you set that. Your account manager can help, and support will definitely reach out if you haven't given us that location to make sure it's set during your deployment. All right, so now that we've filtered and found our instance, we've also updated the instance card. So we've consolidated the table to kind of eliminate some of the extra stuff that is maybe not needed there. And we've consolidated the date and time into one field. So previously you saw date, time, and days of the week as 3 separate fields. So combined those into one to kind of just shorten how much information was being displayed and consolidated that. The bonus with that is that this takes up way less view on your mobile. So it's not going to be as long, makes it a little shorter when you're browsing for instances. And as well, we've added the more info. So before you used to have to click the caret button to drop down the more info, which on mobile was not a clearest, but that was the next step. So we've removed the caret button in favor of clicking more info. So this will pop up a modal on the desktop as well as on the mobile view that just shows that information that was previously stored below in the caret, as well as the curriculum and schedule that we removed from the table. So you do have that. You can go right into the registration flow from that more info page, so you don't have to worry about going back. And additionally, we've added the view offerings. So before we got some feedback that the share button was a little confusing in that spot. So you'll see the share button is next to the program now. And you have view offerings, which does drop the drop down as well. So the drop down is still there for your instances. You can also click view offerings now, which just, again, makes it a little easier and a little more user friendly. We've also updated, continuing on with our user experience. Now we've picked our instance and we're going through the registration flow. We've updated how prompts are displayed. So previously with the desktop view, we had kind of the squares where it showed each form beside one another. But on a mobile view, that was pushing it down into multiple lines. So we've gone to a drop down. So you can now drop the drop down to see all the forms you're required to select. However, that is not necessarily required because now when you click submit, it'll automatically take you into the next form. So as I'm going through and filling out my form, when I reach the bottom, I click submit. That moves me on to my next form. If I wanted to go back and edit something, I do have that option on the drop down to drop it down. And when you're on the last form, it adds it to the cart once you hit submit. So again, just really trying to reduce clicks and make that user experience just a little more friendly for everyone. And based on existing logic, so no real changes, just mostly UI. Thanks, Ella. All right, so we've filled out our forms. We're pretty much all the way through, and now we're adding to our cart. So again, continuing to optimize that UI. We noticed that the smaller shopping cart icon at the top of the page wasn't exactly the most friendly, maybe a little small for some people's eyes. So we've now created a drop down on the right-hand side. So you'll see this on the desktop. You'll see it swing out in the mobile view as well, where it will pop up once you've added something to your cart. You do have that option to proceed to checkout or clear your cart. And then once you click off, it will kind of close and return back. So very similar to what we're seeing across a lot of other mobile sites. And then the goal being to continue to add more information to this as we go on. This is just what we see as step 1. So again, no changes to any of the functionality here, just displaying it a little sooner and making it a little easier for your customers to see that I already have Amy Horton in this program. All right, so I'm actually going to go back and just wrap up one thing. So with all of these portal changes, something we would like everyone to keep in mind is how you plan on communicating this to your customers. We do believe it is fairly intuitive. However, we do also understand that not everyone likes change. So just something to have a discussion with your account manager before putting this in production is your plan for change management. We recommend like portal communiques, email communications. There's lots of options we can discuss with you, but just making sure you have a plan so that you don't surprise your customers with some of these significant changes to the portal. All right, next tool we have is a credit application tool. So we've created a tool that allows staff to account for unpaid future payments. So we understand that I returned something maybe a year ago, I have a credit lingering on my account, but I have an upcoming payment due. We now have a tool where you can automatically apply that en masse, so not just at an individual order level, to several orders coming up. So it's going to help clean up your AR. You're not going to have those outstanding credits. You do have the option in the manual process to deselect credits. If you know Mrs. Smith really wants to hang on to that account credit, you don't need to use that one. You can leave that one and deselect it. So how this works is you're going to go to the Avocado menu, provided you have permission, into the finance button, payment processing. You're going to click the process transactions. We're going to go to the credit application dropdown. You can select a location if you want. You do have the option to do all or specific locations. And then these are going to be the dates of what you're grabbing the credit from. So my credit date right now is anyone I've given a credit from between December 1st and 16th. I'm going to click search. You'll see all those credits populated. And then I have the option to select what days I want to apply that credit to for my payments. So I'm taking any credit between December 1st and 16th and applying it to any payment between December 16th and 18th. You do have the option to add notes as well. So maybe you're doing a year-end credit cleanup or a month-end. You can add those notes in as well, and they will get populated to the payment schedule item. And then you click process. With that, we did also give you the option to automate this process. If you know this is something your organization is just going to do, where you're not allowed to have a credit on your account, if you have outstanding payments, it automatically gets applied. That is something you can configure. So we do have some custom settings to set up. As you can see, there are 4 specifically custom settings to this feature, as well as you're going to add the schedule costs as enable, the specific batch to this. So the batch credit application would be included. A couple things we want to make sure you don't do. You probably want to run your credit application prior to your payment run. Definitely don't have those overlapping. I believe we made sure they can't. However, it's probably just best practice to make sure you give yourself that extra time just so you don't delay your payment processing. You'll allow the batch to run, and for the batch, we do provide you 2 reports. You are going to get a credit application payments report as well as transactions. So you can see the transaction side of the credits that were applied, as well as the payment side of what was paid by those credits. So you will have both of those moving forward as well. All right, so moving on to manual reconciliation, understanding that ACH and direct deposits are becoming more and more common in everyone's practice. We've added the option to add a type to the manual reconciliation field. So previously you had the option to add the notes, the explanation, but understanding that that maybe isn't the most friendly for when you're trying to group everything in a column for reporting. So we do have this type dropdown now. It is going to be a customizable pick list for your organization, which again, buzzword, we're going to be using custom metadata type for this. So you will have a manual reconciliation type that you can edit. You can add, delete, edit the values that are there to whatever makes the most sense for your organization. We are going to give you the common ones, corrections, ACH, or direct deposit. But again, up to you to configure what works best for your organization. And then these are populated through to the PSIs and the GL masters as well. Third-party reconciliation. So again, thank you to the organizations who gave their feedback on this, understanding that childcare subsidy is a bit of a beast and that several of you spend quite a few hours, if not days, allocating subsidy each month. Wanted to make this a little more user-friendly. So we've added some additional filtering to help you find the payments or the checks that you're trying to log. So this is on both the log payment and the reconciliation page. So you have it on both. You have a location filter now, which is going to look at the order's price book location, as well as a payment scheduled filter. So this is referencing your payment date on the PSI. So again, you could set it to December 1st to December 18th. maybe you only want to look at payments this week or on a specific day, you can use that to refine your search. And as well, we updated the name filter that was already there. Previously, that only searched the name field, but now it's also referencing the description field as well. So just giving you, again, a little extra flexibility to find the payments you're looking for in that process. Makeup classes, I'll thank our friends at Queensland for this one because we had quite a few enhancements to makeup classes for this build. So again, this is provided you're using makeup classes for your programming. We've added the ability to unmark yourself absent. So previously you could mark yourself absent, have a voucher generated for a makeup class. Now you have the option to undo that up to a certain amount of time. So maybe I thought I had a doctor's appointment. I marked myself absent for gymnastics. It's now on a different day. I can actually go. I can now mark myself as attending and I'll have that voucher removed. If your clients already used the voucher, they're not able to remark themselves attending. They do get that pop-up. And this does adhere to the settings on the program to mark absent days before so that you can control how early or late you want your members to be able to unmark themselves or mark themselves absent. In addition to some of the enhancements we've seen with makeup vouchers, we've added some user-facing ones as well. So in the portal, when you go to your makeup class vouchers, you now have the option to click view programs on any of your active vouchers. This is going to link you back to the programs page, the list view, with voucher only selected and with the contact selected. So they can see specific to that voucher what program they're eligible to redeem it for. As well as on the programs page, you do have these options in the account dropdown. Clicking voucher only, it's going to show me any programs that anyone on my account has an eligible voucher for. And then I have the option to further refine that by selecting a contact and only seeing vouchers that that contact has. So again, just looking to speed that process up so that people can get booked into those makeup classes. We've also updated the blocking registration in the portal. So previously we only supported this at the account level, but we've now added an additional layer to allow you to block specific contacts from registering. So this is just in your account exception. You'll select the contact, select block registration, block access, private, whatever else may be true. And then you do have a customizable language file of how you would like to word this so that you can see that that contact cannot be selected to move on in the next step in the registration flow. So perhaps you have a family who everyone is really great, but maybe one person's paying for their own membership and they're a little delinquent on it. You have the option to block them without blocking the entire account. We've also continued to build out our menu security. So I know quite a few of you have started implementing that. If you haven't, you can definitely speak to your account manager. But we've added 6 additional buttons and routes for this build, and they're primarily focused in the programs and camps area. So if you have frontline staff who maybe need to go in and see who's on a wait list and send a wait list link, but you don't want them editing the schedule of a program or editing the capacity of an instance, they have the option to lock those down now. So we've introduced 6 more of these as part of this release. We've also introduced some additional error handling for invalid bookings. So we often see this, that staff are in the back end and remove a required field. So account gets removed, contact gets removed, the facility pricing method gets removed. And we are seeing issues with those loading on certain pages in the Avocado menu. So twofold for this task, we've fixed it so that now in the Avocado menu, you will see this invalid booking icon beside, which will let you know that something's missing on this booking. There's a problem with it. So you do have that visually for your frontline staff. If you open that booking in the back end, we have an invalid booking reason field now that will actually tell you what piece of information is missing so that you can correct it. And because that is a field just stored on the bookings object, you are able to pull it into your reporting as well. So you can have an invalid bookings report that you subscribe to. Again, we don't see this happening a ton in the front end. It's usually staff in the back end where maybe they shouldn't be. But it just helps you get ahead of it so that you're not having someone who can't load a menu page because they have 15 invalid bookings. So you'll also be getting a report with this as well for this release. And then we've included some additional features. So we've added a close button to the bottom of division pages in the portal when you open the FAQ. Again, this is just optimizing the user experience. We had the close button at the top, but understand that sometimes you have a lot of frequently asked questions. Your client scrolls all the way to the bottom. They don't want to scroll back up to the top. So we've just added an additional close button at the bottom. We've also added the ability to bring group management into Engage. So we previously had that for attendance. We've now added it to the skills section as well. So if you want to separate out your instance based on their skill level, you could set up group management for that and then rank their skills in there as well. We updated the more information pop-up when you're in the portal. So if I create my account and then I go to register for a registration or purchase a membership, I get prompted with that more info page. We've updated it to adhere to the portal contact required fields custom setting, which just gives you as the organization a little more flexibility in what you want them to be for sure filling out there. We also added the ability to set a static expiry date for makeup classes. So previously they expired X number of months ahead. Now you have the option to make them all expire at the end of the year or the end of the month if you so choose. We added some additional finance features for our final customer users on the portal. So we added the total outstanding payments to the My Profile page. So in My Profile, you can see your current balance, you could see your current credits. We've just cleaned that up to be more in line with what you're seeing in the menu without the 30, 60, 90 days. So we don't show that in the portal, but we've aligned it so that now the current account balance reads total account balance, which is just matching your frontline users with your end users. And then as part of the manual reconciliation statement of work, we just cleaned up the tooltips to make them a little more intuitive and a little more straightforward. So you'll see that updated as well. We have a couple bug fixes as well. So we've fixed some issues with the membership confirmation email, specifically how it was pulling merge fields. So you'll see that updated in this release. We've added a warning message on the process payments and process transactions page. We were seeing people where sometimes the end date accidentally gets set before the start date. So we've just added some error handling so that you can't get into that state anymore. For our Moneris clients, we updated the decline file to better handle some null responses. So if you're on Moneris, probably not something you'll largely see, but just kind of a back-end cleanup task. We also fixed an issue with exporting the collections report. So downside to exporting a CSV is if someone has a comma in their name, it can do some kind of funky things to your sheet. So we just cleaned that up so that you don't have that happening anymore. We updated the instance lightning record page to allow you to customize what you would like to see on that. So previously there was an issue with dragging other related lists. That is now resolved. We also fixed an issue where the My Memberships in the portal was showing reserved memberships. So if someone didn't fully complete their transaction prior to it expiring, it was still showing in there. So you won't see that happening anymore. And we fixed a UI issue with the duration for rollover contracts. So when someone's creating a rollover contract in the portal, there was a bit of a UI issue. So just cleaned that up as well. And then we wanted to give you a bit of a sneak peek. It wouldn't be the last release of the year without telling you some things that are up and coming. So we do currently have a pre-registration instance type in the works. So this is going to give you the option to use as like a master waitlist. So if you want a waitlist that spans all locations, you can put everyone into this one pre-registration type instance. As well as we see a lot of you do like a skill assessment prior to entering a leveled program. So sometimes someone has to do a swim assessment or a gymnastics assessment before you know if they can go to level 1, 2, 3, or 4. This is another instance that you could use that for. So you have that coming. And then building on that, we're adding the ability to sort and filter waitlists of this type. So these pre-reg based on prompt responses. So if you have a sibling, if you have a family member who works at the Y. Those are things you can ask during your intake, and then you can sort those in the wait list to see who you're offering a spot to. We've also added the ability for special resources to roll over. So this is toggleable. You can turn it on or off. Doesn't have to if you don't want it to. But we understand that sometimes when you're rolling over childcare, that kid's always going to want a snack or that kid's always going to need before care. So you have the option to do that as a special resource that continues to roll with the registration. We've also have a skill update in the works. So continuing to build out our skill intake. The skills module, we're going to an incomplete and complete. So on the skill, you'll have the option of whether you want to do the 5-star rating or if you want to just do incomplete. Sometimes all you need to know is that a kid can float on their back. You don't need to give them a rating of 1 to 5. So you have that option now as well in the future. And then I think everyone's aware, because we've been meeting with everyone and sending lots of reports, that we have some finance bugs that are currently in progress and being fixed, as well as a finance AR health project. So we're continuing to work on those and just really help with everyone getting their AR to a great state for year end, and then working on our next steps of how to help you all recover that outstanding AR. So that's upcoming for next year too. But before we go into questions, the last thing I have is just to wish everyone a happy holidays. I appreciate you again coming out in December. You know, it's busy. Everyone's trying to wrap everything up before they are off, or trying to get everything done before an influx of holiday people are coming in. So we just want to say happy holidays from the TechShare and Avocado family. We wish everyone a safe and happy new year. And thank you all for being with us for 2024. We can't wait for 2025 and to see what comes next. And now I'll ask if anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Oh, Ella has her hand up. Yes.
The pre-registration instance option, is it going to allow them, allow the staff to like approve them for the next level, and they will have to go in and register to a different instance, or is it going to be like you can flow into this automatically if you're approved kind of thing?
So there's a couple different ways we envision configuring it, but we're also building out a option to send an offer. So when you're on the wait list, I can basically click send offer. It'll send an offer to whatever program or instance I select for that contact, and then they can go in and register for that. And then we could look at automating that in the future, but that's kind of step one for it.
Yeah, it's nice to see excitement, but it's also nice to see the fruits of all of your work as well, guys, because you guys have been asking for some of these things and continue to ask, and we very much appreciate all your hard work to get these things done.
Awesome. Anyone else have anything? It doesn't have to be a question, comments, thoughts. I'll take those too.
I would like to say thank you for sharing the slide deck. I think that's really kind. That will help us later remember what the important bits were, because for some of us, like, this could be 3 or 4 months down the road before we actually move to implement.
Yes. So bit of a brand update on our release presentation. So I also appreciate the feedback on that, Adam. If anyone else has thoughts, or if there's other things you want to see, please let me know, because we're continuing to improve it.
Yeah, you put, I think, a lot of great information on there, Rachel, but to her point, if there's something that you need to know on that release note or on this presentation, let us know.
Robert?
Rachel, I had one point. If you could go to one of the slides where there was a screenshot of to filter via locations and status. There was one of it. The one before that somewhere. Yes, the next one. The next one. We just crossed it. Just crossed it.
This one?
Yeah, I mean, just so Should we, I mean, just as a out of curiosity, should we change it to status rather than statuses?
Mhm.
It can be generally what I've observed in all the products is like we use the singular because singular or multiple can be selected.
Yeah, good point. We'll definitely make a follow-up task for that. Thanks, Rabith.
So we won't forget about it. It'll be a task, but sometimes those types of tasks don't happen for a few months.
That's completely okay. We are all here to make this tool the best we can.
Yeah, I think QA is something that's worth mentioning. There's been a lot of QA effort put on this build, and it's something that we're hopeful the fruits of all of the tech shares labor comes to fruition here, because there's been a lot of effort to make sure it doesn't cause any ill effect. But if there is anything you find, please let us know. We've done our best to accommodate all your different configurations. Because that's where the devil is. It's not that we don't test. We test all the common scenarios. It's when someone's using the system a little uniquely that we could potentially have missed a scenario. So we're doing our best to get all those. But thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else have anything?
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks. Annette?